Life is stranger than we dare to hope. Life is stranger than we'll ever know.
Some phrases we say have sinister origins. In England in the 1500s, people began to run out of room to bury recently deceased loved ones. They dug up the coffins of people who have long been dead, removed their bones, and placed them in a bone house, in turn reusing the grave site. They soon noticed that 1 out of every 25 coffins had scratch marks on the inside. People had been buried alive. To avoid any more of this, a string would be tied to the wrist of each corpse, threaded through the coffin, up through the ground and tied to a bell. Someone was hired to sit in the graveyard all night and listen for the bell to ring, just in case the dead were not really dead. Starting the sayings "saved by the bell," "dead ringer," and "graveyard shift." Officer Eugene Franklin also worked the graveyard shift for over 20 years at an unnamed police department in an unnamed town. Officer Franklin was close to retirement. Many nights he spent parked along isolated dirt roads listening to the radio, or sleeping. Nothing much ever happened in his town, which made for long nights alone in his squad car. Each night was virtually the same, except this one. Small town life was something he loved. He knew everybody and everybody knew him. As he did his routine rounds, he passed Old Man Jones's house and reminisced of younger days, when he and his friends would dare each other to walk up alone to the attic of the supposed 3-story haunted house. Every town has their legends, and this town had plenty to choose from. In a state of nostalgia, he decided to drive out to the old country cemetery where many claimed to see the ghost of a man walking the road. He smiled to himself at the absurdity of the stories that scared him as a teen. The drive was uneventful, but the night was nice, so he grabbed his radio and decided to walk the rest of the path. Wandering the maze of small headstones, he thought he saw a glimpse of a silhouette in the distance. Within seconds, he was brought back to his teen years and the story of a man walking the road searching for his widow. The story he knew now as a cop was false. He laughed at the idea again and started his way back to the car when he was frozen in fear. The shadow of a man stood illuminated by his squad car headlights. "Police department," he yelled, but the shadow person remained still. As he walked towards it, hand on gun, he started to feel nauseous and blacked out. Officer Franklin awoke to the sound of birds chirping and the glare off his windshield of the early morning sun rising. In a state of panic and confusion, he realized it was all a dream. However, he had slept through his entire shift. As he drove back to the station, he could not shake how real the dream was. That's when he decided to cue up the dashcam video where he watched himself walk down the path to the cemetery. Several minutes later, he was stunned to have caught the shadow person on camera, his flashlight in the distance, and then seeing himself collapse. The shadow then went and carried him back to the squad car, placed him in the seat, and vanished into the night. Officer Franklin sat motionless. As the figure that carried him to the car walked into the darkness, the headlights caught a clear view of its face. It was himself. Sometimes things so bizarre happen we have to shrug our shoulders. String theorists claim that there are other dimensions that run parallel to ours, and each one of us have a twin that exists in this realm. Sometimes when conditions are right, they overlap each other. Mostly we write them off as a dream or vivid imaginations, but what if it's caught on camera? These moments truly make us cringe.
Smile lurks today where a tear used to stray, and the curtain